All right, I gave Titan Quest 2 early access a shot, and I very much enjoyed it. Very smooth, no crashes for me. The UI is clean. It feels very Diablo 3-esque. I would actually call this like Diablo 3 2. So if you weren't that impressed with what Diablo 4 did, and you really like Diablo 3, this might be the exact game for you. But it's not going to have the same kind of depth that Path of Exile has in terms of its build variety, build crafting, item crafting. But everything else is pretty great. So if you're looking for kind of like a single player ARPG experience where you could put like 50 hours into it and then you're done with it, this is going to be perfect. It's going to give you everything you need. It was clean. It performs well. I am at 4K with no fake frames, getting 52 frames per second pretty stably. Now, 50 frames per second for me on an ARPG is totally fine. And the biggest quality is that I didn't really have any frame dips. So it's only going to get better from here, given that this is early access. And things like Path of Exile 2, I was getting frame dips all over the place. I guess I got a 44 frames there. But when I played with DLSS on, and it was like 60, but I wanted to turn that off for this little review. Now, the biggest complaint I can have for this game is it kind of feels obviously like it was built by committee, and there's no one at the helm. It's like a whole team, and any radical ideas got squashed out because there's nothing new to the ARPG genre here. Everything that is here is set up really nicely and feels a lot like Diablo 3, plays a lot like Diablo 3, but there's nothing that's going to be groundbreaking based on this early access. Now, we got to wait for the end game. If the end game comes out and they have some type of currency, like maybe gold becomes really important, that'd be good. Something to give me a reason to farm, something to give me a reason to get better gear, and something to give me a reason to keep playing, I will actually like this game better. I can't even talk. I would like this game better than Path of Exile 2 at this exact moment. My experience with this going through the campaign was so much better than Path of Exile 2 because Path of Exile 2, they either accidentally or, in my opinion, deliberately programmed in a bunch of tedium. And that tedium doesn't exist here. You just hop into the game and you go where you're supposed to go, and you're not going to hit a bunch of stupid dead ends or a bunch of really, lame ass side quests or anything like that. Very enjoyable experience on the whole. Very much liked it. The art design is really good, albeit a little bland, and the color palette is a little pastel. But I imagine you can get some reshades going on to kind of make it a little bit more dark and thematic. UI, really nice. The skills are essentially set up very close to Diablo 3. You have your masteries. I played a Storm Bro. I played with that skill and that skill. This one's better for clear. This one's better for single target, and it's also pretty good for clear. Ended up liking this one better. But there's obviously a whole nother skill here, and hopefully they add more. There's not a lot of depth here, so I don't think they're going for permanent playing Path of Exile 2 style. They're likely going for like a 60-hour experience where you go through the game, then you increase the difficulty, you go through the game again, and then you're just kind of done. That's my guess on where this is going, and at a $40 price point, I'm totally in. Totally sold. Love it. Love it. And I think for early access, you get a little bit cheaper, but it's probably going to be like $40 when it comes out. I think it's great. I think it's programmed very well. The developers are obviously really good developers over at THQ or whatever this makes this thing. A lot better than the GGG developers. But the GGG people are far better at game design than the people at THQ. But the people at THQ are likely better at game design than the people over at Blizzard, because I enjoyed this a lot more than I enjoyed Diablo 4 for the first 6 hours, right? We also obviously have to see where it goes and what kind of end game they can build in. Very solid showing. Very much like it. If I were to give it a rating on like an early access scale, I would give it a 9 or an 8. Only reason I would go down to an 8 is the fact that there's nothing new here and that it's very simplistic. And I do like a little bit of complication in my game, a little bit of not tedium, but meat, something I could chew into. I don't really think you're going to be able to go into this game and completely find a very unique and original build. All the builds are going to be kind of cookie cutter, despite the fact that you have dual classes. There's just not a lot of meat here, and that could be the early access shining through. It could be the fact that the game is not fully built and they don't have all that in. And if they add all that in, this could easily be my favorite ARPG. If they build in a really good in-game system, they find a really good farming reason, a reason to farm, like either really good gold or some type of currency, something to give you a good reason to keep playing, and an upgrade path for both your character and your gear, I could easily see me sinking 1,000 hours into this just based on look, feel alone. I'm using AWSD and it feels really good. There is one kind of thing where if you hit tab while holding up, you have to re-hit up, and it's a little awkward. There's some awkwardness to it, but for the most part, it is clean, it is sharp, it is well made, albeit likely made by a committee, so there's not any really distinctive style or funk to it. You play something like Path of Exile 2 and you feel the developers all up in that, or Path of Exile 1, or if you go a little bit crazy with something like Nier Automata, you feel Yoko Taro all over that, or if you play Metal Gear Solid, you feel the douche canoe that is Kojima. I guess Metal Gear Solid is for the old folks. If you play Death Stranding, you can see the weird Kojima-isms. There's not really any of that. There's no clear identity to this game. It's just a generic copy and paste Diablo 3-esque ARPG set in some type of fictional Spartan world. Sparta got taken over by a bunch of gods and a bunch of wild shit happened, and you go through the campaign. Well, I only got the first act. I imagine this is like about a fifth of the game, maybe more. It's hard to say. But if they really do pump this up, it'll be really nice. But it will never be incredible. This will never be a 10 out of 10 unless they add in something to make this game stand out, something to make this game feel unique, something to make this game feel special, because right now it is lacking anything to make it special and great, but it has everything to make it good. So this is definitely a good game, but I just don't think it's going to be a special game. I think in 10 years' time, I'm going to look back at my time with this game once it's finally out, depending on whether or not they make really good adjustments to it, and say, yeah, that was a really fun time. I had a blast with it. But it wasn't fucking life-changing like Path of Exile is. But if they really do improve the endgame, I do think I will like this better than Path of Exile 2. Unless they modify Path of Exile 2's endgame, because I hate Path of Exile 2's endgame for the most part. I don't like doing all that stuff with the maps, with the crafting the maps and going through the whole fucking atlas. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of what they've done to the endgame of Path of Exile 2, but I do love the combat. This isn't about Path of Exile 2. It's about Titan Quest. It's a completely different game, completely different genre, and I wouldn't even really compare Titan Quest 2 to Path of Exile, just like I wouldn't really compare Path of Exile to Diablo. They're kind of like different audiences. So this is pretty much like Diablo 3 2. If you like Diablo 3, you're going to like Titan Quest. And that's about it. That is about it. My build, I think, might have been OP. I played this lightning build, and I just wrecked everything. I died on a couple bosses, though. The bosses were kind of nice. You have this shield thing and a dash. And I'm not a fan of the shield and dash. I like the either or. It's too many buttons to press. Way too many buttons to press for having a dash and a shield. They should have got rid of that. And the teleport is pathetic. You have this teleport and like that, and it kind of stays hidden, shiny like this for a super long time. So you can't use it again, because if you do, it'll bring you all the way back, which I guess can have some good functionality. But I'd much rather have just a normal teleport. Anyways, that is Titan Quest 2. I like it. Performance was great. Gameplay, I need to stop saying great. I need to find some more adjectives or adverbs or adverbial clauses or prepositional phrases, whatever the fuck that is. I don't like English. Fuck English.